All right, changing tack completely now, and I happened to see a TED talk which talked about space junk and framed it in a way that I think should be, disturbing to a lot of people, particularly any of us that, well, not that many of us will in the short term travel into space, but there's a companion article on the ABC about space junk and how big is the problem and what are we going to do about it. But there's so much rubbish up there, and in that TED talk, it's like the Earth is surrounded in its own little envelope of, it's like another atmospheric layer of junk. And I was almost trying to imagine how a spacecraft would be able to, leave the Earth now. Is there enough space that they could navigate through all of that crap? And there doesn't seem to be any laws in place to deal with it. It's a significant problem, and even just from the fact that these things might, their orbits might decay and come crashing back down to Earth, and hopefully they'll burn up on re-entry. But what if they don't? That sort of thing. Who's going to take responsibility for it? There's all big questions in relation to this, and it's like a Wild West frontier where there hasn't been a lot of thought about how it should be handled.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one, and personally, my approach on this is, I don't know, maybe a slightly different perspective, but all the space junk around the planet is tracked. They know where most of it is, the size of it, and most of it's pretty small, so it doesn't really represent a threat to anyone back on Earth. But it does represent a significant threat to, spacecraft, and we're only going to have more and more spacecraft, and it's going to be pretty terrible when someone's space holiday to the moon gets ruined because something collides with the ship and, destroys everything gravity style. But the thing that's I find interesting is because it is mapped, because people know how much there is, and because basically you can see it, people think it's a problem. Back here on Earth, there's all sorts of rubbish, environmental, on the ground, in the air, underground, in the seas, you name it, and we just carry on.
Yeah. Maybe then it's a wider question of we should be a lot smarter about how we handle junk in general.
Oh, look, I think there's no question of that. I think not that I'd necessarily blame the space debris on the disposable philosophy, but I think some of that comes to it. At first it didn't matter, you had a booster stage up there or, a few things that you jettisoned or whatever. But, there's a lot of stuff up there, and it's an environment we want to start exploring. And this, makes it even more dangerous than it already is. That's not a good thing.